All right, we continue to follow breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. We are also simulcasting on CBS Sports Network. The latest report now, moving on to the next sport, that Major League Baseball will in fact suspend all operations indefinitely. Of course, a lot of questions. What does that mean? We do not have those details at this time, but we can tell you that all operations are going to be suspended indefinitely. So let's try to get some answers and get some opinions on this. Let's bring in David Sampson, the host of Nothing Personal, former president of the Marlins, World Series champ Will Middlebrooks here. We are very lucky to have both of you because we can kind of encompass all of this. So David, I'm going to start with you. You get the call, operation suspended indefinitely. What does that mean to you? What are you doing in the front office?
Well, this happened on a call. So as a team president, you'd be on a phone call with the commissioner. There would be some sort of vote, some sort of conversation about what we're going to do. And what I've been saying and what needs to happen is we need to definitely suspend all operations and then breathe. Baseball does not have to announce right now exactly when the regular season will start, exactly when spring training will start again, because there will need to be another spring training. What will be announced is simply indefinite cease of operations. Great, on to the next. From a business standpoint, we make sure that people are working at home. We are making sure that we are taking care of our players who could be allowed to stay at the spring training facility or could be allowed to go home, whichever they're more comfortable with, because there will always be enough time for the pitchers to get themselves ramped up again and the position players. Then we start worrying about the business, the business side.
And business side, I mean, expand on that. I mean, we're talking money, we're talking,
it's all
so
budget.
Much, everything.
So here's the deal in Major League Baseball. We know every game we play, we know exactly how much money we make per game, or for some teams, how much money they lose per game every time they open. We know that payroll starting April, we were prepared to pay payroll starting March 26th, opening day. Players will not get paid March 26th because the season will not begin. So we do a cash flow analysis. That's the first thing, cash flow analysis. Second thing is we alert all of the supply chain, everyone from game day operations people. We're talking about concessionaires, parking attendants, ticket takers, ushers, any sort of stadium operations people, all the way up and down the chain. They're alerted to the fact that, hey, right now we will have no events going on at Marlins Park or at Yankee Stadium, wherever the case may be. That's regular season. Spring training, we're doing the same thing, shutting down the entire stadium, the entire operation. Unfortunately, hourly employees, likely there'll be nothing for them to do. They'll be furloughed.
Yeah, this is very difficult. I mean, it's not just when we think, hey, baseball operation suspended, we think about the players and the fans, but this impacts lives. These impacts people's jobs. It's all encompassing.
It's even more, Amanda. You have to realize that there are people who make a living during spring training, that they come and this is their job. They are retired people. They are the ones who are most susceptible. The reason I've been so upset that spring training games have gone on is that the ushers, the ticket takers, the volunteers during spring training are all older people. They are the ones most susceptible to a real problem with coronavirus. I don't know. The report is that there'll be games, Will, through tomorrow. Explain to me why, as a player, when you're getting ready for the season, if you know regular season is not starting on time, why exactly do you have to play today and tomorrow?
Well, there's no reason to, number one. And I think just the unknown is the scary part. And the tough part for the players, too, is I'm in the middle of spring training as a hitter. I'm 30, 40 at-bats in. I'm saying, okay, if the season started tomorrow, I think I'd be okay. And now we're just shutting all that off. And let's look at the pitchers. They're getting their innings up. They're throwing 6 innings, 80 pitches. They're getting their pitch count up. Now what? Now they go throw to a local high school team if they go home? Like, what's next? That's the unknown that's going to worry everyone.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that from the players' perspective. Like I said, Will Middlebrooks, you're very lucky to have you here to talk about this. So you talked about the pitchers and the hitters here. So you're told as a player, hey, we're suspending operations, but you just can't shut your body. I mean, you're an athlete. You got to keep going. So what's going through your mind is, how do I stay prepared for the regular season when that eventually begins?
Right, and you spend all off season to peak right now. Right now, in the next couple weeks, you're in your best shape, you're in baseball shape, you're ready to play. So now, like I just said, I'm ready. So now we're going to shut that off for X amount of days, month, 2 months, we don't know. Then we have to start all over. Spring training is a grind. You start getting in the mentality of the season and that daily process you go through, your daily routine that each player lives and dies by. And now that's being thrown off. So but we need to step back and look at these people are human beings. I know we look at professional athletes as superheroes sometimes.
You're not machines.
No, we're not. You know, we have families. There's families that are going to be stuck places. They don't want to travel with small children. What if their parents are there? They're older. Their grandparents are in town to visit. What now? Like, there's so many variables to look at that we don't think about when you think about the professional athlete.
So the best example I can say is back in '94, '95 when there was a strike. Remember, there was then a shortened season. To me, what we would know from our players, and Will tell me, 3 weeks. Players need a 3-week spring training when they've had some time off. We could then get a season started. It would be a shortened season. And I think that's the direction that MLB is going to have to go. Because by October, when truly the money is made, that's when the playoffs and the World Series are. I believe that because we are finally now beginning to contain, or the process of containing, this coronavirus, that October, I'm hoping we're okay. So I think a shortened season is the way we'll go.
Yeah, I think we talked about it earlier. Maybe start June 1st if this all goes as we think it will, and then it'd be a 100-game season, right? Give them the 3 weeks to get ready. All players have been saying for years, I wish spring training was only 3 weeks. It's 2 weeks too long. So I think 3 weeks will be fine. They'll be ready. And yeah, with the shortened season, it'll make things interesting and just different. Number one, but it's what we have to do.
So I would only tell you one last thing, that players, if they have the option to go home, I would really want my players to stay with me. I would want them to stay in Florida at the spring training site, because this isn't like a strike or lockout. This isn't when there's actually a problem between management and ownership and players. I want to watch my pitchers. I'm going to absolutely bring them down. I'm not going full speed. I'm not going simulated games of 4 or 5 innings. I'd like to see hitters continue to take some BP, even some live BP. So this is not a labor issue. This is a basically viral issue, but I would love to have sort of my hands on these players.
Before we let you go, I want to ask either one of you, have any of you had any contact? Obviously, you're still heavily involved in the world, either with players or coaches or just anybody on staff, and kind of their reaction to what's going on?
Well, I'm sure we both have, because we're both just recently out of the game for totally different reasons. My ego got injured, his body got injured. So, yes, and from the player's standpoint and from management standpoint, there was some surprise of inevitability. What's taking so long for this decision to be made? There's no chance. And then once the NBA canceled last night, that was it. It was absolutely a guarantee that MLB would have to suspend spring training. As a matter of fact, again, to reiterate, Amanda, I am shocked that right now there are spring training games going on with fans in Florida.
And I know you've been in contact with some of your friends that are current players right now. What are they saying to you?
Yeah, I talked to a couple guys. They really were. They knew about as much as we did. They're awaiting team meetings today and tomorrow. I'm guessing all those will be pushed up to today after the breaking news. But they're just being told we have to wait for the meetings. They couldn't give me any details. They literally knew nothing more than we did.
All right. Like I said, still a lot of questions. David Sampson, Will Middlebrooks, we are very grateful to have you guys to talk to you. I'm sure we'll be talking to you as this comes along. We get more answers from MLB.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.